Hello, I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And today we are at honey review number 18, where we're looking at 5 different exotic Hawaiian blossom honeys. These are all very rare and hard to get, and this one is called Kiawa, white Kiawa honey. This is the rainbow blossom. Yes. This is a macadamia nut blossom. I know how to say that. These other names, I'm not sure. This is the well, it's a Christmas blossom. I'm not going to try to say the Hawaiian name. I'm sure I'm butchering all these. And this is the Ohio Lehua blossom. So we're going to smell and taste all these honeys, and I'll give you a few notes about what they smell and taste like. So when I started getting into varietal honeys, I assembled quite a collection. Now it got up to 60, I think. And then these wound up being the most exotic or hard to explain or didn't have any context for understanding the flavors and smells I was getting. And the first time through, I thought these were all so floral and so intense that I wouldn't be able to describe them or do any good at all going through the aromas and flavors because I didn't have any words or vocabulary to explain them all. And I just remember this huge mess of floral notes. And as I went through recently and tasted them all again and smelled them all again, there was hardly any floral notes. So your memory is very confusing to you sometimes when you're trying to remember a lot of different things. If you have too many inputs, it's hard to keep them all straight. So these are going to be easier to review than I thought. So this first one is from a company called Rare Hawaiian Honey Company, and it is organic white Kiawe honey. I don't know what a Kiawe is. So it turns semi-solid and crystallizes very early on in its life as soon as it's put into a jar. So there's no point trying to fight that and dissolve it again because it just goes back to solid or semi-solid. But this has a really nice light taste. On the nose, it's kind of a tart or surprising smell. It might be that rotting leaf thing. Something in soil, something tart, something a little sour. And you're not sure why. It's not a real strong aroma. So you're not really sure what you're going to get when you taste this one based on the nose. But let me get a little here on this toothpick. Light, buttery, some kind of fruit, but I'm not sure what that would be. It's kind of a brown sugar note. It's sweet. Sweet is at the forefront, and brown sugar is one of the notes I keep saying about this one. Whoa. So it's kind of semi-solid, gloppy, thick. It's kind of a vanilla note, warm vanilla sugar, brown sugar, a sweetness that you might associate with honey, but it's not the usual honey flavors. I'm going to have to use a spoon here to get a little bit more into my mouth and smear it around more of my tongue and palate. So that's when you really find out what the flavors are really like. Wow. It's kind of like a cake frosting. It's thick and vanilla. It's full of vanilla and thick, sweet, mouth coating. My eyes were watering from how strong that was. So that is a real nice flavor that's going to go well with certain things. And this was not cheap stuff. I believe I'm showing it was $22.20 for an 8-ounce jar from Amazon, which is approaching $45 a pound. And the flavor is light and delicate and nice, so be warned that to get those nice, light, delicate flavors, it's going to be fairly expensive. I'm going to put it on some bread here. I guess this is the most solid one, so I'll go ahead and use the knife now, as early as this is. This is a seeded rye bread. It has a lot of strong flavors of its own, which is a good test of the honey to see if it's going to stand up in some stronger foods. It's pretty easy to spread around the bread. And yeah, I'll go ahead and lick the knife. So I like those flavors so much. I'm going to taste it on the bread now. Sweet vanilla, creamy, much less of the brown sugar. But it makes the rye and the caraway seeds stand out even more. It even emphasizes those. So I smeared a lot of honey on this. It sounds pretty thick. It makes the rye notes and the caraway seed really pop. There's plenty of sweetness. Some vanilla and much less of the brown sugar notes. So I don't know why I would eat that combination, but it really makes the rye bread more rye-y, if that makes sense. So very interesting, nuanced, delicate, light flavors, but overall, it's a strong, sweet honey in its overall effect, by itself or with food. Okay, the next honey we're going to try is from a company called Hawaiian Rainbow Bees. And it's in a little squeeze jar, but it's not a cute little bear or a bee. It's some fierce, angry-looking totem pole type figure. It's a 9-ounce jar. Got this from Amazon for $12, it says here. And that's better value than lots, if it turns out to be good. When you smell it, it is sour, tart, fusty, rotting, not very promising on the nose. But it gets better on the palate. So it's a medium sort of amber and clear. It's not hazy. And, ooh, that's interesting. It's sweet and sour at the same time. It's got some honey characteristics. People might recognize this from clover or wildflower, orange, but there's a strong sour note through it that's hard to identify. It's kind of a little tiny bitter note on the finish. So it's different than a lot of honeys. A lot of people would like this. That sour note just goes right on through the development and onto the finish. And the bitter is really a very minor thing. That's very interesting. And I'm not sure I would call the flavors light and delicate, but they blend. There's several notes and they blend well together. I'm going to have to do a little bit more on a spoon to cut more of my tongue. Let's smear this around. Okay, so there's some brown sugar notes and maple syrup notes when it gets all around. So the sweetness has lots of support. It's fairly robust. There's also a sour note that's hard to place. It's not unpleasant. It's just kind of a tiny bit of bitterness on the finish that's not objectionable either. There's a hint of some kind of fruit, maybe an unripe fruit. Maybe that's what the sour note is telling me. But it's not, doesn't seem floral at all. So that's kind of surprising compared to what I remember about these honeys in general the first time through. It's very interesting. It's different. It's wouldn't be a, most people would like this, I would think. So it doesn't taste as exotic as it looks, but it's very pleasant, and it would be good with a lot of foods. Okay, so honey number 3 in this collection comes from a company called Big Island Bees. Well, the last 3 here come from Big Island Bees. And this is macadamia nut blossom, 9-ounce jar. Says I paid $13 from Amazon. And on the nose, you get not pleasant smell. Old socks, old shoes, sweaty shoes, like a wet dog. No descriptor comes up sounding like food or sounding like something you'd want to eat. So, no, the palate is not great, but the taste turns out really well. Let's get some on the toothpick here. As I look at it, it's slightly hazy and just that medium amber that honey often is. And I'm getting sweet, some kind of fruitiness, like and it's pretty strong. It's a plum, a ripe plum, a not quite ripe plum, something, but it's got a good amount of juice flavor, fruit flavor. Some darker thing. It's not quite like prune or a raisin or a fig, but it's in that family. It's in that sort of darker fruit, redder fruit. There's a tartness to it. That fruitiness is good. What else? What's the sweetness from? It's not sugary. It's not a lot of brown sugar. Maybe there's a little hint of a savory note. Some spice, some complex mushroom or steak. Beef, meat, I'm not sure. There's just a little tiny note or hint of something a little more savory than the fruit and honey things that we're used to in most of these. That's pretty interesting. So that might be worth putting on a piece of bread here. Although the knife is not going to help me with this one. I'll need to use the spoon and drizzle it from there. So again, this is going on some rye bread, but I want to see how the fruitiness comes across and if that little tiny umami note persists. So it's got a fight with the rye bread, it's got a fight with the caraway seeds, which are pretty strong flavors. Yeah, that's a nice fruitiness that people are going to like. Should be good in a tea. Very nice. And on the bread. Fruity. And sweet, but I can't quite identify it as the plum note I was getting when I ate it neat. It's good. It doesn't complement the rye. It doesn't fight with the rye. I taste everything in there. But the fruitiness is lessened somewhat. So still very good and pleasant, but the fruitiness seems to have fallen off some. So the fourth honey in this collection is also from Big Island Bees, and it is like Willaleke Blossom. Oh, that's the one that's also Christmas Blossom. So that's what I'm going to call it, Christmas Blossom. And it's distinctly lighter than the other honeys here. It's a lighter yellow. It's pretty clear. There's a little haze to it, like they didn't filter it extensively. Ooh, sticky. So, oh wow, tart, sour on the nose. And a different kind of sour, like, I don't know, lemon peel, rotting lemon peels. There's a tartness to it, but organically deteriorating, decomposing lemon. It went away, a little olfactory fatigue there. So I'll just go ahead and taste it. Wow. Oop, don't double dip. It's fruity, it's fruit forward, but what the fruit is, I'm not sure. Orange or lemongrass. It's kind of a zesty, gingery, lemon, orange type thing. Yeah, let's use a spoon and get a little more. And you get more of this to get the whole experience. Very interesting. Wow, creamy, a little spicy, baking spices. Clove, cinnamon's too strong. That's not what it is. Clove, cardamom, something a little muted. It's in there, but it's not strong. It's not peppery. It's not all that gingery when it's all over my mouth. So it's an interesting, complex mixture with some citrus forward, but it's not exactly lemon, not exactly orange. It's not lime. Interesting. And then the mouthfeel it's clingier than most of these. It just coats, it's kind of buttery, it clings and coats and keeps going. Yeah, it's hard to lick it off and clean off your mouth. Without a whole bunch of water, I'd say. Very interesting. Christmas Blossom. Or that name I can't say. It says I paid $13.50 for this 9-ounce jar from Amazon. And that's interesting, it's different. This might be, I can't decide between these two for being the favorite, but these two are strong contenders for the best one, but I like this a lot. Okay, and then moving on to our final selection here. This is Big Island Bees, Organic Hawaiian Honey, Ohio Lehua. So I'm sure I'm butchering that pronunciation. So this one says organic on the label, this one says organic, but this one does not. So it's either hard to certify or they know it's not. Well, just out of curiosity, this says organic and this one does not. So let's go on. This is also light, but it's not quite as light as this Christmas Blossom. On the nose, we have sour. It's tart and sock-like. Nothing reminiscent of food. Sour and rotting, sour and sweaty. Kind of the same notes we've had in the worst of these other ones, nose-wise. And tasting. Ooh, there. Okay, that tartness translates to the palate as well. It's like a sour. There's a citrus component to it, and there's a sour milk component to it. So there might be some orange and lemon type notes, but there's definitely a sour milk vibe also. Or yogurt, kefir, some of those cultured sour dairy things. So it's fruity. That could be plum. Plum, raisin, maybe some lemon, lime notes. There's citrus to it, there's a plum or other darker fruit to it. I like it, that's good. That could be an interesting one to put in some tea. So I'll pull out my red cup and get some honey on the spoon and stir it in. So haya lehua. Gotta quit saying it when I know it's probably wrong. I'll put links down below in the description for all the different companies and for the different honeys to point you to the right page to look them up. Maybe see what else the companies offer. These are all very interesting, exotic, too expensive to enjoy every day probably. This one is $13.50 as well from Amazon for 9 ounces. So we're talking 25 bucks a pound there. Maybe I should look at the camera while I'm boringly stirring my tea. Oh, wow. So this one's a little different in the tea. All those soft notes and sour notes and tart things and sour milk really stand out, which is not necessarily the flavors you want in enjoying some tea. Yeah, it's tart, it's milky. And then you go, oh, is something wrong with that milk? So it's not a flavor combination I'm enjoying. And this is what, like Trader Joe's Irish breakfast tea, I think. So it's a mild black tea without a lot of strong flavors of its own, and the honey is just moving in and going, I'm spoiled milk. I don't get the fruitiness all that much. But the tartness comes through strongly, and that dairy component, which I'm thinking is sour, comes through. So not all that pleasant on the tea. So that's an interesting effect. And one I won't be repeating. So if you like the reviews that you're seeing here, leave some comments down below. Argue with me, comment, challenge me, agree with me. I don't care. Put some thumbs up or thumbs down below also. And subscribe to the channel. If you want to get notified every time a new video is posted on Mondays and Thursdays, click the bell icon and it will come straight to your inbox and you'll hear about it right away. So we've got maybe 10 more reviews to do. We're still alternating between the single honey reviews and collections like this. So stay tuned for the next one coming up, which I think will be another interesting single flower honey. And that's all for now.